Good evening, welcome everybody. Thank you all for being here on the nicest evening that we've had in I don't know how long. Anyway, I appreciate your choosing to do this rather than something else. I'm glad to get a chance to be together at this sort of transitional important pivot point for this effort that's been underway for 3 years. Thanks to those who will be catching this on MRV TV and to MRV TV as always for helping to get the word out about our work. So this is the 4th community forum for the Conservation and Recreation Visioning Project that's been underway since the summer of 2022. And we're really excited to be at this point to share with you what's been done thus far, and what's coming up in the near term and opportunities for getting involved. I think most of you here at least know me. I don't know about who will be watching on TV, but for anyone who doesn't, my name is Phil Huffman. I'm a longtime member of the Waitsfield Conservation Commission, and I'm also had the pleasure, honor of being the co-chair of the steering committee for this effort over the last 3 years. So really pleased to be at this stage of the game. It's been sort of a long and winding road for all of us who've been in the thick of this over the last 3 years, but I think we have a lot of things to point to, and we've made a lot of progress, built some really important relationships, and found some really important consensus on common ground on some key things that we'll be talking more about. Sam, if you can advance, please. Just by way of either background refresher for any of you who have heard about this before, but especially for those who haven't, the Conservation and Recreation Visioning Project, CRV, is really now an ongoing collaboration among local organizations, recreation and conservation interests here in the Valley, trying to figure out how best to balance the keen desire that we all have for vibrant outdoor recreation opportunities in the Valley with the integrity of the natural environment that we're so lucky to be surrounded by here in the Mad River Valley. And we've been in the first phase focused on developing data layers and maps resulting from that, and articulating a set of shared goals, visions, and guiding principles that we'll be speaking more about in the next few minutes, and some best practices for future development of outdoor recreation opportunities here in the Mad River Valley that will help to sustain and enhance the ecological integrity of this special place. Next slide, by the way, how did this all get going? It really has been fueled primarily by a big grant, part of the big $400,000 plus grant from the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economic Collaborative that was committed to the Valley back in 2022, that included a number of other elements that are shown on the slide here if you can read them. The enhancements to the new Chamber of Commerce and the Recreation Hub at the intersection of Route 100 and Route 17, the bike and pedestrian bridge over the Mill Brook, parking and landscaping, things like that. The Conservation Recreation Visioning Project was the 5th element of that big package of work, and so that's what really helped to launch this whole effort and has been key to carrying things forward. Next slide. Want to acknowledge also that we've had a number of other really equally critical funding partners in all of this. A couple of the towns here in the Valley, Fayston and Warren, the Mad River Valley Recreation District, Lawson's Finest Liquids, and then some support from entities outside the Valley. And I think this is really significant, that have seen the value in what we're doing here in the Valley to not just our surroundings here in this Valley, but also the broader relevance of what we're doing to hopefully other communities around the state. So those include the Lake Champlain Basin Program, the Linnelac Foundation, and the Wyndham Foundation. I also want to actually, if you back up for just, well, it doesn't really matter. I just want to acknowledge we've had some really important help and support from some consultants over the course of this project. Many of you, I think, probably met and interacted with Emily Friedman, who was our project coordinator over the course of, 18 months or so, provided some really valuable help for us all. And then also contracted help from Arrowwood Environmental over in Huntington that had been critical in developing the mapping tool and pulling together data sets that underlie that and whatnot. So just want to say a shout out to all of them. Next slide. These are the members of the steering committee that have been hard at work on all of this over the course of the last 3 years. I won't take the time to run through them, but representatives from the major conservation and recreation groups here in the Valley. And I guess maybe if all the steering committee members could just raise your hands for a second. So Sam, you should count yourself in there too these days. Anyway, a great mix of folks from around the Valley, and I just want to express my own thanks to everyone for leaning into this over the course of an extended period of time. Really appreciate your efforts on that. All right. So the outcomes that we've achieved so far and that we're really going to spend most of this evening talking about are, I think really importantly, we've established this collaborative dialogue and relationships that some of which pre-existed this effort over the last 3 years, but I think they've been expanded and really strengthened over the course of this effort. And I think it sets us up now for being in a much better position to work together, talk together, figure out together how best to move forward on both our existing recreational opportunities and potential new ones in the future, and how to go about citing those, developing those, and maintaining those in a way that's going to uphold the environmental and ecological integrity of this valley to the greatest possible extent. So it's the dialogue and the relationships and the collaboration, the collaborative spirit that I think are at the heart of all of this. We've then developed some frameworks, this statement of shared vision, values, and guiding principles that we'll talk more about in a second. The recreational trail process guide that we're going to have a little performance to demonstrate in a few minutes as well. We have this online mapping tool and maps related to that that I think will be really valuable resources for everyone in the community, both those of us who are involved in different organizations that are dealing with this sort of stuff all the time, but also just for residents and homeowners, second homeowners and whatnot in the valley, to get a better understanding of the environmental attributes of this valley and the layout of the recreational footprint as it currently exists. All of what we're referring to tonight is online right now on the Mad River Valley Recreation District's website, so mrvrd.org, and look for CRV, should be easy to find. You can find the online mapping tool and copies of these various documents and things there. That all is going to be migrating over to the website of the Mad River Valley Planning District, mrvpd.org, sometime before too long. So look either for the Rec District or the Planning District and you'll find it. So with that, just in terms of the flow of this evening, Ira Shaddis from the Friends of the Mad River and Bob Kogut from the Mad River Riders and I will spend a few minutes just giving a sort of overview about the Shared Vision, Values, and Guiding Principles document. Then Laura Arneson from the Rec District is going to give an overview of the priority elements of work going forward as part of this ongoing collaborative effort in the coming months. Well, I'll let her speak at that point about how we're hoping to get input from those of you who are in the room tonight on some of those elements soon. And then we'll go to this performance that I mentioned, a little play to demonstrate what this trail development process guide is really all about. So that'll be a little bit of a different way of sharing and leaning into some of the work that we've done. And then Sam Robinson from the Planning District is going to just give a quick overview of next steps for this effort. At that point, we then will have probably some time for Q&A. We can also keep it informal. Just feel free to ask questions or offer your thoughts as we go here. But if there are lingering things that we want to surface after Sam's overview of next steps, we can have sort of a group discussion, and then we'll just break up and have more of an informal wander around for those who are here, with opportunities to talk to folks from the different organizations, share your thoughts on some of the upcoming work priorities, things like that. So that's the gist of things. We'll be out of here by 8, maybe a little sooner, since we have a relatively small crowd, and it's going to be getting cooler as the evening wears on. So that's the game plan. Is that all right? Good. So Ira and Bob, if you want to come join me, and we want to spend just the next 10 minutes or so trying to give you all a sense of this document, the shared vision, values, and guiding principles. And it's, it's a 4+ page document. We're not going to read it. We're not going to go through it in excruciating detail. We would encourage you, if you haven't already, to read it. Thank you. It's okay.
Is this part of the play?
Yeah, this is the ad-lib part of the play.
Oh, that's.
So, encourage you to read the shared vision, values, and guiding principles when you have a chance. There are hard copies on each of the tables. It's also online at the Rec District's website. There's a lot to it, and I guess, by way of big picture overview of it, I would say that I didn't try to keep track, probably a good thing, of how many meetings we had to work on this document and how many different iterations of it it's been through. But I would say the final product that we've got reflects a lot of really hard thinking and thoughtful dialogue, and all in this collaborative spirit around what exactly are we talking about and what are we committing to as a set of individuals on behalf of our organizations that we want to see happening going forward on trying to achieve this integration of outdoor recreation that is completely in sync with our natural environment here. So the document, I think, from my perspective, really does a pretty solid job of that. It's one way to think of it is this is not a binding document on anyone, but it's a statement of direction of where we all want to be trying to go to together. We've tossed around words like an informal constitution or a compact or something. Those are a little too official and formal sounding, but it gives you the idea of really trying to just lay out what are the things that we all agree to as a group of people from different perspectives that we want to try to carry forward together. And I think it's really notable that this document was approved by unanimous consent by everyone in that group of 15 that was on the screen a few minutes ago, representing a pretty wide array of different perspectives. A couple of things that I'll just point out, and this is really to help provide the foundation for our ongoing collaboration between these different interests going forward. But on the shared values, I just want to highlight there are 3 of them that are described in more detail, a paragraph or so for each of them. I'll just name the 3. We value nature. We value human recreation in nature. And we value collaboration. And I think that is the essence of what this whole effort has been trying to get to and what we're all committing to going forward. So really working together on those sorts of things to embody those values. And then there's a list of about 10 different guiding principles that underpin that. I'll just note a couple of them as examples. 1, our strength is grounded in the passion, diversity, knowledge, commitment, mutual respect, and leadership of MRV partners and community members focused on outdoor recreation and environmental conservation. We recognize there is much more that unites us than divides us, and by working collaboratively, we can achieve better and greater outcomes than we can separately. So I think that's one that's really critical, and it really came to the fore over the course of our 3 years of conversation on this, that we all, I think, consider ourselves to be passionate about both ecological integrity and outdoor recreation. We all may be at slightly different points on the spectrum of which one we're more deeply involved in, or that is our first passion maybe, but I think we all care deeply about both. And those, they're really interwoven deeply into this document and into the dialogue and the relationships that we've been working on over the period of this project. I'm going to stop there. I'll pass it over to which one of you wants to go first.
I'll go. Yeah. Thank you. Let me just say first, I'm cold. It's cold. I should have brought a bigger jacket. So I'm up here shivering, trying to listen to what you're saying. I have maybe not the most glamorous job to start with, which is just to recognize that there is some dire context that informs some of this work. We are, one could argue, in the sixth mass extinction. These are species loss numbers, biodiversity loss that we haven't seen for 66 million years on the surface of Earth, right? So there's some really difficult circumstances around our relationship, our human relationship to the natural world that is writ large. But I'll note also that here in New England and in Vermont in particular, we actually are a rarity in some respects. Vermont 120 years ago had about 15-20% forest cover. Today it's roughly 80-85% forest cover. And so that really speaks to not only human impact in a negative way on nature, but the way that our decisions, the way that 2 generations' decisions can completely transform the landscape for the better of nature around us. And so just recognizing that what comes next for nature in this community is really up to us. It's up to folks who work like I do in conservation every day, and it's also up to Bob, who works in engineering, but he does in his volunteer time. He works with the riders, right? So we all in the community have some sort of role to play as stewards for nature. And so that's where I come back to this sort of CRV process, and that first value that was mentioned, that we value nature. I have seen that borne out in our little community, in our steering committee of 15 people, in a way that has been deeply and truly inspiring to me, to be able to see people. We often in conservation can get in our own little bubbles, but to expand that community outwards and see that each one of you, and I'm really just looking at the steering committee members in here, and just recognize that each one of you are standing up as champions for nature is really inspiring, and to see that sort of recorded in this compact constitution, I think is going to have ripple effects for nature well beyond any of our time here in the valley.
Thanks,
I don't know, maybe just a couple of points. There's one, I like the valley-wide kind of the focus of the shared vision and kind of our work. And so it's easy to, especially like in the trail world, it's easy to get focused on the one particular piece of land and the one landowner or the one land manager that you're dealing with to do a certain little thing. But to make yourself kind of step back and look at the big picture of the whole valley is necessary and really valuable. So that part of it I really like. Written in here too, we've got we value and kind of rely on the best science when making good decisions. I'm an engineer and kind of a scientist. I personally kind of like that emphasis that we had on that. Like let's talk to the experts. Let's learn what impacts we have and do the best we can to kind of minimize them. That's it. And I like the more formalized relationship with the conservation groups in the valley. Like there's nothing that I've said this in past meetings, there's nothing that legally makes us do that, right? So it's basically works out that it's the landowner or the land manager in a piece of land that drives the whole process. And it doesn't really involve the conservation committees in the group, and it doesn't necessarily involve the communities. I mean, there are some processes that require you to get public input, but none of them require you to collaborate and check in with everybody in the valley at the same time. And this kind of like allows us to do that, which builds better community support for whatever it is you're doing on the recreation side, which is going to make it a better asset and something that's going to last longer and have more impact on more people.
Thanks to you both. I guess, I just wrap this part, and then we might open it up for any other perspectives from the steering committee or questions if anyone has any at this point. But I'd just say that I think what we're doing here is unusual. This tension between outdoor recreation and ecological or environmental integrity is something that's widespread, and elsewhere in Vermont, elsewhere in this country and around the world. And figuring out how to balance it and how to truly sustain and enhance the environment while we're also capitalizing on what it offers for outdoor recreation and all the benefits that that provides to all of us, to humanity, is tricky stuff. And there are other places where I think it's much more conflict-based, or that it's going completely in one direction or the other, and where there isn't this kind of a dialogue and relationship building and commitment to collaboration and to bringing in science and striving together to get to the best possible outcomes. I think that's pretty unusual. I think that's part of why the state invested in this part of the VOREC big package, because they saw it as being really important for this valley, but also for potentially of value for other parts of the state as well. Hopefully some of the things that we've put down on paper, some of the tools that we've developed and whatnot can be of use to folks outside of this community as well. But I think also this is part of what provides an opportunity for this valley to, it's part of our branding. It can be, should be even more a part of our branding going forward. We're a place that provides world-class outdoor recreational opportunities, but does it in a way that's in harmony with the environment that we're so lucky to have here. So, anybody else from the steering committee want to offer any quick thoughts on this document, the Shared Vision Values Guiding Principles? Anything that the three of us have
Anything we butchered?
left out, butchered, yeah, blurred past? No, okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, George.
Just briefly to reinforce what Phil just said, I think the way we got to that place of understanding the interests and needs of recreation and the interests and needs of ecological integrity is because both groups started to really hear and see the interests and the needs of the other group, and to see that at a kind of social economic level, we need to be investing in recreation. There's an interest in investing in that. And that for the recreationalists, they heard from the environmental side of the table that there's really are some substantial challenges that we need to take seriously, and that we need to reimagine the kind of solutions that we come up with that aren't always about just continuing to exploit nature, but to find ways to do that without the exploitation part and still try to hopefully find an enrichment. And that, I think, as Phil has emphasized, became almost magical. And there was a moment, and I'll just mention this, that I brought up. I said, well, what are we going to do if we have a difference of opinion? And the natural idea was, well, I guess the majority should lead or dominate. And there was a recommendation that instead of thinking of it in those terms, to think of it in terms of consensus, just working towards consensus. And that actually became the model and the goal.
That's great. Thanks, George. Anyone else on the steering committee want to offer thoughts?
Or not.
Okay, questions, comments from those who aren't on the steering committee?
Hi folks, I'm Carrie Thomas. I live in Facein. I have kids in school here and I actually work in the valley. I'm also a mountain biker and a skier and a paddler. I work with the Northern Forest Canoe Trail. I'm on the Matterhorn Path board. I'm also on the VOREC steering committee, so I'm really in tune with what's going on in the state. I was at a a meeting today of a working group to develop an economic development tool through the Board Steering Committee. And one of the members of this steering committee mentioned that there's often a tension with business owners in all of these conversations around conservation and planning and outdoor recreation. And I'm really pleased to see a couple of business owners. I don't know everybody in the room, but at least we have a couple business owners here in the Valley. And I noticed that in your documents, you did have economic development as part of your considerations. And I know that the reason that the state of Vermont is focusing on outdoor recreation is because of its economic development potential. And truly, we have got to get this right, this balance between outdoor recreation and ecology and economic development, because outdoor recreation and ecology are probably the most significant assets we have as a state, and certainly this valley. The potential to continue to have schools, to continue to have families move here and be able to live and thrive and enjoy life on great trails and great mountains, but also with this incredible ecological integrity. So I'm really pleased to see what you're doing and what you've pulled together. I was impressed by the document and the balance that was in there, and I want to make sure that we don't forget that our success is sort of not just this ecological and recreation success, it's also our economic success and our future as a viable place to live and work and play. So.
Amen.
Great, yep, right on. Thanks, Gary. Any other comments or questions at this stage of the game? And there's ample time for more as we keep going, but Bob?
Well, to pick up on those thoughts, someplace out here in the near future, there probably is the opportunity for an outreach to the planning commissions and getting them intellectually connected into the socioeconomic aspects of this effort. I think it's pretty cool.
One thing that, Laura can speak to, but Laura and I have worked a little bit on, and she's going to spearhead quite a bit of, is essentially a roadshow to take this, these products and the work that we've done around to a number of different audiences, including planning commissions and other folks, potentially even across the state who might be interested in seeing this work.
Yeah, but I think, just to build on that right on, and the planning commissions, but also the other local boards, the select boards, DRBs, are part of the circle of organizations or entities that we're going to be going out on this roadshow to over the course of the next several months. And I think that won't be the end of the discussion at all. It'll be the beginning, really, or the next step in an ongoing discussion and really trying to get at these points. So anyway, important one to flag. Thanks. Other thoughts anyone has at this stage of the game? Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Ira and Bob, and I'll turn it over to Laura now to talk about some of the priorities for ongoing work of this collaboration in the coming months.
Thanks, Bill. And thanks for being here. And I'd like to echo Phil's thank you to the steering committee. We had a lot of meetings to come up with these documents. And it's a group that would really rather be out on trails or skiing or biking or different stuff like that. So we just appreciate all the volunteer effort that went into getting us where we are in CRB. And so conservation and recreation visioning, the 1.0 was this past 2.5 years that was funded by the VORAC grant. And what we're calling 2.0 is moving forward. And so we'll be having quarterly meetings that are structured. The rec district has been the administrator of the grant. Planning district, we're going to hand it off to the planning district. Sam's going to be the facilitator of those quarterly meetings, and we're going to move the website, all the information over there. But it's 15 groups that we have been meeting regularly, and over this 2.5 years, we kept track of some ideas that we wanted to work on, but that were too big for right then because we had a bunch of deliverables to fulfill the VORAC grant. So those have become a list of work priorities for CRV 2.0. So that's the moving forward part. And different steering committee members volunteered to spearhead some of those efforts. And at the very end of the meeting, we'll have people walk around, and one of the tables is a list of some of those priorities, things like a code of ethics. We'd like to develop that for recreation users in the valley. We also want to do more CRV landowner outreach so that they would use our online mapping tool that was developed by Arrowwood, so that in that there are 13 ecological assets that you want to avoid if you can when you're building a trail, and so there's different layers on that map. So it's a great tool for anybody who's planning a trail, and most of our trails are on private land, so we want to really get private landowners to use that tool and come to us with questions and get us all involved. We also want to keep looking, as Bob Kogut mentioned before, scientific data has been used to try and generate this project. That's what Arrowwood was hired to do. And we want to keep learning, and this is going to be a shared priority, but we want to gather that scientific data, and we'd also like to have some community meetings where there are, speakers and different topics. And then we also know that the ecological effects of dogs on trails is big, and that's a big topic for our whole valley, but we'd like to hear suggestions. So those are some of the priorities that are table right back there that you can stop in, and we're seeking input from all of you. So one of the other work priorities that was mentioned is this road show that Ira, Sam, and I are working on, and we're going to, take it to 20 or so community groups, whoever will have us over the next couple of months, and have a 20-minute presentation and chance for different town boards to ask us questions and really integrate CRV into future efforts of planning commissions, select board, environmental organizations, conservation commissions, etc., trail groups. So we are going to, in this 2.0, we're going to have quarterly meetings, and the first one is going to be September 23rd, and then another one December 9th. We'll have an organizational first meeting just for our steering committee, but those meetings will be open to the public, and there'll be minutes you can get on the agenda. We're going to have, it's a time for the partners, the CRV partners, to bring forward projects that they want input on, or to talk with the bigger group about. So we're looking forward to those, and this has always been planned as an ongoing effort. CRV 1.0 is just the time frame funded by the VORAC grant, and now we're moving on to 2.0. So we're excited about this next bit of it all. And one of the other things that we've done recently is the Trail Development Process Guide. There's a copy on the table. And in just a little bit, a group of steering committee members are going to put on a play that is going to inform you about how that might be used, and obviously it'll be a fun way to learn more about that. But I'd like to thank Eric Baruzzi, who was instrumental in helping pull that process guide together. And as we've said before, it's all voluntary, but as a community and all these different groups representing a broad spectrum of our community, we come to an agreement about best practices and how to move forward. So I'm the executive director of the Mad River Valley Recreation District, and I just want you to know that we are selling bike helmets and rechargeable bike lights. And so see me later if you want any of those. But right now, unless there are any questions on what I've said, we're going to move forward to the play. Thank you.
As the play performers are coming up, does anybody have any questions on what's coming up for work elements of the next phase? Okay.
So for this play, it's the audience need to participate. So there will be three sounds that I need for you to make. First sound, if I say a bulldozer, then you're all gonna go. Let's practice this. Bulldozer. Nice, good. Second one will be thunder. It will be kaboom or whatever you want to do. Right? Let's see what different sounds we can make for thunder. Nice. And the last one would be rain. Rain. We don't know what rain is around here, do we? Okay, ready? Rain. Good. So you all have a part. And are we ready?
I think we're good.
So this all starts at our monthly meeting. At the monthly meeting, the two of the team members, two of the trail builders, they concoct the idea that we might as well, while we're meeting here at the pavilion, it would be really nice for us to build a trail to connect this LaRue farm here right to the full edges. That's the idea that comes to them in the meeting. And here we go.
You know, I got a great idea for a trail on the hill over there. Straight up the slope, right up and over the cliff. We'll call it Woohoo Ledges.
Awesome. I got a bulldozer. We could crack that thing out tonight. Let's do it tonight. Bulldozer. Let's do it tonight so we don't have to ask for any permission. It's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, so then we get on our bulldozer.
Sorry.
This is a glasses activity.
I'll definitely need my chainsaw too.
Yeah, I think we should bring some dynamite.
Definitely dynamite.
We get back on the bulldozer. You think we should build a bridge over this river here?
No, we got a bulldozer. What are bulldozers for? Let's plow a path through the river. Let's dump some stone. We'll make a little temporary bridge. If it washes out, let's get more stone.
That's right. You can just do whatever you want on the river, especially at night.
As they move up the hill, they encounter a stand of beech trees.
Well, good thing I brought my chainsaw. We just chop these things down. They're right in the middle of the path. We have a nice straight shot to the cliff.
As they continue, the bears jump off the trees and take off in a hurry.
We have to keep chasing away and shooting at to get them out of the trail area.
And then
Such a
the
pain.
porcupines scatter along.
I know, and I was trying to set some dynamite in the ledge over there, but it was all wet and there were frogs and eggs everywhere.
And thunder. And rain. As the darkness sets in, the weather changes and
Shivering.
the storms roll in.
Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the night here in the rain. Let's call it a night.
And
head
no
on
arguments
down.
for me. Let's leave the bulldozer and head on down the hill.
Hey! What the fuck are you all doing? Get out of here! And they got chased by an angry landowner. The next day, they're soaked and discouraged trail builders regroup and they talk.
You know, I was lighting some tires on fire in our backyard the other day. And I had this newspaper to get the fire going, a Valley Reporter, and it said CRB in it.
What does CRB stand for?
Nobody knows. But they had something about trail development in there.
Trail development. There's a website there. I'll go check that out.
In a little while later.
Hey guys, thanks for reaching out. I understand you'd like to plan a trail up the cliff there.
Yeah, we tried the straight shot approach, and that didn't really work out well for us.
Do you have any advice on how to do it better?
I do, sure. You first have to come up with a good plan. Step back a bit and look at the big picture. Is this the best location for a trail? And who will it benefit? how can we minimize impact on the animals and plants that live in the area?
That sounds like an awful lot of work.
It is, but you could end up with a great trail that gets your grandchildren out into nature.
I don't think I have any grandchildren.
You might, and they might find you.
Oh, how do we get this process started, you ask? Well, let me. So we've developed this great online mapping tool. Let me get my tablet out and show you. So if you notice, you tried to go from LaRue, crossing these rivers through this mass stand of bear habitat.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that down.
Your bulldozer is currently
It's in
stuck
that
in this
wetland
swamp
right
right here.
there.
Correct. Had you reviewed this map first, and with my assistance, I can help you maybe plan a better trail that gets you around this large contiguous forest and up the less steep slope up to the ledges.
That sounds reasonable.
What was that word you used?
Oh, yeah. Ecologist? This is pretty interesting. Maybe I should change my career.
Together, the trail builders and ecologists walk over to the landowner.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry for the introduction the other night.
Oh, no worries, I just posted, all of this is now posted.
Well, we put some more thought into it, and we've looked at the habitat that's on your land, and we found a better route that we think will stay more on the edge of the property and not go straight up the middle like we had talked to you about before, or didn't talk to you about.
Who is this trail for?
Kids?
I hate the kids.
I hate the kids too. I've had these grandchildren chasing me around.
Well, I think trails are good. Trails are really good. Conservation, that's really good. But you guys should ask my neighbor over there. I like the idea. But it's really, you can see, this is not a good land to put the trail through. Would you agree with me on that?
Well, I just learned about ecology, so I think so.
Okay, I'll see you guys
So
later.
you
6 years later.
discussions continue.
Well, thanks for seeing us again. I really do appreciate the nearly annual meetings we've been having.
Yeah, how you guys doing? What do you have for me now?
Well, we commissioned some experts, and we did an assessment of the land. We determined where the mass stands were, which we could avoid. We mapped out the vernal pools. We've raised some money from some local community groups.
Money?
We've had some good conversations figuring out how this trail fits into the wider valley, and so we've been able to get buy-in from a couple different towns.
And we raised enough money that we could maybe build a hedge in between us, perhaps an apple orchard. That would screen the trail from your
That sounds
property.
good. An apple orchard sounds good.
And we thought we could replace your plastic no trespassing signs with a nice wooden custom sign that says, "Not here."
More no trespassing sign. I like that. I like that idea. Tell
And
me
there might
more.
be a little bit more room in the budget to finance your family trip to Aruba.
Now we're talking. Wait, do I sign some papers here to go to Aruba?
Yeah, you sign on the iPad right there.
Okay, I'll sign. And so, as a result of this process, the trail group get a long-term easement sign for the use of the trail. And that illustrates the work that we've been doing in our group. Thank you.
Anybody have any observations, questions that all sparks for our performers?
Any contracts, movie deals?
There's a lot of critical feedback.
Should we consider bringing some kind of statewide, drama organization?
Some training might be a good idea.
Don't bring your day job.
Thank you.
All right. Is
I
that-
just want to say, I thought the play was awesome.
It
was.
Let's wicked awesome.
It couldn't have been better.
A+, gold star.
Thank you. Agreed. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for doing that. And I think we'll turn it over now to Sam.
Sounds
to
good.
Talk a little bit more about next steps, and then we can have any further sort of group dialogue before we just mingle around.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for coming here tonight, everyone. My name is Sam Robinson. I work with the Mad River Valley Planning District, for those of you who don't know me. And I don't have a whole lot to share other than what's been said. I'm really excited to be a part of this project. And to clarify, I'm only very recently joining the CRV effort, so I really do commend everyone that's been a part of it for the last couple of years. I agree with everything that's been said. It's a really difficult and important balance to strike in a community. And I think what you all have come up with is really, really admirable. And you've done a great job, especially with the deliverables that have been created throughout this process. I'm excited to be a part of the 2.0 to kind of sustain that momentum. And as Laura said, when I joined this process just kind of at the start of this year, the conversations that I was a part of were kind of surrounding what those work priorities were going to be moving forward and what the most logical organizations to lead the respective priorities were. I think Laura did a great job explaining what it's going to look like moving forward, but just to reiterate, we're going to have quarterly meetings where in our discussions that occurred earlier this year, we kind of identified, okay, discussions with Velamont make most sense for Misha and Bob to take on, so they'll deal with that. Opinions on conservation projects falls with the not planning commissions, but conservation commissions, and providing just a quarterly structure where these various groups that are each kind of leading their own charge can come together, seek advice, but also just provide updates and make sure that everyone's staying in the loop and provide an opportunity for that ongoing dialogue. So that's what it's going to look like moving forward. There will be some structural changes as well. We're going to be transitioning some of the information, or all of the information, over to the planning district site. So not a huge change from mrvrd.org to mrvpd.org. That's our website. But you're also welcome to reach out to me. You can call me or email me at any point if you want more information. Yeah, we'd love to see you at a quarterly meeting and have your perspective. So thank you so much for joining tonight. And yeah, stick around for some continued conversation. And if you have any more questions, also happy to take those now, or we can move on to the more informal section of the night.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome.
So what we'd like for people to do now is to wander through these tables. What the different organizations are available to speak about is how they're integrating CRV, all these deliverables, all that we've done, into their current work and their future plans. So there's different tables and leaders around, and then I'll be at this table soliciting feedback on some postcards about, there's 4 CRV priorities, and there's colors associated for those priorities where we'd like input. So get up, move around. Thank you to Guru and George for hosting us, and our great bar service, and get more food and ask questions. Thanks for coming tonight.